Partejo was having a terrible day. He woke up late, spilled coffee on his uniform, and now the captain was yelling at him through the communication device on his wrist. Tejo, where are you? We have a power problem near the banquet hall. Fix it now. Tejo ran through the metal hallways of the Starship Horizon. His tools made loud noises in his bag as he moved. He was just a simple engineer. His job was to fix broken things on the ship. He was good at his job, but he was also very clumsy. Everyone on the ship knew this about him. The Horizon was not just any ship. It was humanity's best and biggest vessel. Today was a very important day. The ship was carrying human diplomats to meet with the Ethrani Empire. The Ethrani were a powerful alien species. They controlled half of the known galaxy. Humans needed to make peace with them, or there would be war. Te-Ho had seen pictures of the Ethrani before. They were tall and beautiful. Their skin was silver like metal. Their eyes glowed with violet light. They looked like gods from old stories. But they were also very proud. They believed they were better than all other species in the universe. The most important rule when meeting Ethrani was simple. Do not touch them. Physical contact with an Ethrani was considered a great insult. If you touched an Ethrani royal, it was even worse. It could mean death. Tejo finally reached the area near the banquet hall. He could hear music and voices from inside. The reception had already started. Human diplomats and Ethrani nobles were meeting for the first time. Everything had to go perfectly. He found the broken power conduit behind a wall panel. It was a simple fix. He just needed to reconnect some wires. He worked fast, his hands moving with skill. In 5 minutes, he was done. Good job, Tejo, he said to himself. Now just leave quietly and go back to your room. But the universe had other plans for him. As he walked past the banquet hall, the door suddenly opened. A server droid pushed a large cart of food right into his path. Tejo jumped to the side to avoid it. He stumbled through the open door and into the hall. The room was full of people. Human officers in their best uniforms stood next to tall Ethrani in flowing silver robes. Everyone was talking and laughing. Crystal glasses filled with strange drinks caught the light. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Tejo tried to leave. He really did. But the room was so crowded. He had to push through the crowd to reach the exit on the other side. He kept his head down and moved carefully. Then the ship shook. It was just a small movement. A tiny gravity fluctuation. Nothing dangerous. But for Tejo, it was a disaster. He lost his balance. His feet slipped on the smooth floor. He fell forward, his arms reaching out to grab something, anything, to stop his fall. His hand found something soft. Time seemed to stop. Tejo looked up slowly. His hand was resting on the backside of a tall Ethrani woman. But this was not just any Ethrani woman. She wore a crown of floating crystals. Her robes were made of pure light. Her violet eyes were the brightest in the room. This was Queen Velith, the ruler of the entire Ethrani Empire, and Tejo's hand was on her bottom. The room became silent. Every person, human and alien, stopped talking. They all stared at Tejo with wide eyes. Some humans looked like they wanted to cry. Some Ethrani looked like they wanted to kill him. Queen Velith turned around slowly. Her movement was graceful, like a dancer, but her face was cold as ice. Her violet eyes burned with a fire that made Tejo's blood turn cold. "How dare you touch my ass, human?" she said. Her voice was quiet but sharp like a knife. Tejo opened his mouth to explain. He wanted to say it was an accident. He wanted to say he was sorry, but no words came out. He just stood there, his face turning red, his hands still in the air. I. The ship moved. I fell. I did not mean to. He finally managed to say. Queen Velith raised one elegant eyebrow. You did not mean to? You expect me to believe that you accidentally touched the sacred body of the Ethrani queen? Before Teho could answer, a tall Ethrani woman stepped forward. She had sharp features and cold eyes. She wore the robes of a high priestess. This is an insult beyond measure. The woman shouted. Her name was Morith, and she was the queen's chief advisor. This human has violated our queen. He must die. The Ethrani guards moved forward. They grabbed Teho's arms and forced him to his knees. Their grip was strong like iron. Commander Big Desu, the leader of the human delegation, rushed forward. He was a calm man, but now his face showed panic. Your Majesty, please, he said. This man is just a simple engineer. He meant no disrespect. It was clearly an accident. The gravity systems had a problem. Please, let us discuss this peacefully. Morith laughed. It was not a nice sound. Peacefully? Your kind has insulted our queen in front of the entire court. There is no peace after this. There is only blood. Kim Yuna, the ship's communications officer, and Teho's best friend, pushed through the crowd. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and a sharper tongue. When she saw Teho on his knees, her face turned pale. Teho, she shouted. What did you do? I fell. Teho shouted back. I just fell. Queen Velith raised her hand. Everyone became silent again. She looked at Teho with those burning eyes. He could not tell what she was thinking. Was she angry, amused, ready to kill him? He could not say. Take this human to my ship, she said finally. He will face Ethrani justice. The guards pulled Teho to his feet. As they dragged him away, he looked back at Yuna and the commander. Their faces were full of fear and worry. Teho had never been so scared in his life. He came to fix a simple wire. Now he might lose his head because his hand touched a royal bottom. The doors closed behind him with a heavy sound. His fate was now in the hands of the Ethrani, and from what he knew about them, they were not known for mercy. The Ethrani flagship was called the Eternal Crown. It was 3 times bigger than the horizon. Its walls were made of a strange metal that glowed with soft purple light. Everything about it screamed power and beauty. But Teho could not enjoy any of it. He was being dragged through the halls like a criminal. The guards threw him into a small cell. The door closed behind him with a hiss. The room had no windows, only a small bed and a toilet. The walls hummed with energy. He was trapped. Teho sat on the bed and put his head in his hands. How did this happen? One moment, he was fixing a simple wire. The next moment, he was touching the bottom of an alien queen. His life had gone from normal to nightmare in less than a minute. He thought about his family back on Earth. His mother, who always worried about him. His younger sister, who wanted to join the space program too. Would he ever see them again? Would they know how he died? Would they laugh or cry when they heard the story? Executed for touching a queen's butt, he said to himself. What a way to go. Hours passed. Or maybe it was minutes. Time felt strange in the cell. Finally, the door opened. 2 Ethrani guards stood there with weapons pointed at him. The queen will see you now, one of them said. Move. They walked through long hallways. Other Ethrani watched them pass. Some looked curious. Some looked angry. A few looked like they wanted to spit on him. Teho kept his eyes on the floor. The throne room was massive. The ceiling was so high that Teho could not see where it ended. Thousands of tiny lights floated in the air like stars. And at the center of it all sat Queen Velith on a throne made of crystal. She was even more beautiful in her own setting. Her silver skin glowed in the light. Her violet eyes watched him like a hunter watching prey. She did not look angry anymore, She looked interested, like he was a strange bug she had never seen before. High Priestess Morath stood beside the throne. Her face was full of hate. She clearly wanted Taeho dead. "Human," Queen Velith said. Her voice filled the room without shouting. "You stand accused of touching the sacred body of the Ethrani Queen. This crime is punishable by death. Do you have anything to say?" Taeho's throat felt dry. He swallowed hard. "Your Majesty, I am truly sorry. It was an accident. The ship's gravity systems had a problem. I lost my balance and fell. I never meant to touch you. I never even wanted to be in that room. I was just there to fix some wires." Morath laughed. "Lies. He's a spy sent to insult our queen." "I am not a spy," Taeho said. "I am just an engineer. I fix things. That is all I do. Please, you must believe me." Queen Velith raised her hand to silence Morath. She studied Taeho for a long moment. Her eyes seemed to look right through him, seeing everything he was thinking and feeling. "I have watched the security recordings," she said. "I saw you stumble. I saw you fall. Your story appears to be true." Taeho felt a tiny bit of hope. Then I can go?" "No," Queen Velith said simply. "The truth does not change what happened. You still touched me. My people saw it. If I let you go without punishment, I will look weak. I cannot afford to look weak." Morath smiled. It was an ugly smile. "Execute him, my queen. Let his death be a message to all humans." "Wait!" Taeho shouted. "There must be another way. In human law, every accused person has the right to prove their innocence. Does Ethrani law have something like that?" The room became quiet. Queen Velith tilted her head slightly. "You know of our laws, human." Taeho did not know anything about Ethrani laws. He was just guessing, but he nodded anyway. "I have heard stories. Something about a trial of worth?" Morath's smile disappeared. Her face became pale. "He cannot know about that. It is an ancient ritual, not for outsiders." "And yet he knows," Queen Velith said. There was something in her voice. Was it amusement, respect? Taeho could not tell. The trial of worth is indeed part of our law. It allows the accused to prove their value to the Empire. If they succeed, their crime is forgiven. "Then I choose the trial," Taeho said quickly. "I will prove my worth." Morath stepped forward. "My queen, you cannot allow this. He's just a human. The trial will kill him in minutes. It is designed for Ethrani warriors, not for weak aliens. Then his death will come through the trial instead of execution," Queen Velith said. "Either way, justice will be served." She looked at Taeho. "Human, do you understand what you are asking for? The trial of worth has 3 challenges. No off-worlder has ever passed them. Most do not survive the first one." Taeho's legs were shaking. His heart was beating so fast he thought it might explode. But what choice did he have? Execution now, or death in the trial later? At least the trial gave him a chance. "I understand," he said. "I will take the trial." Queen Velith nodded. "So be it. The trial begins tomorrow at sunrise. Take him back to his cell." The guards grabbed Taeho again. As they led him away, he saw Morath watching him. Her eyes were full of anger, but also something else. Fear? Why would she be afraid? Back in his cell, Taeho was alone again. He had bought himself some time, but for what? He knew nothing about these challenges. He was not a warrior. He was not strong or fast. He was just a clumsy engineer who was good with tools. A soft beep came from under his bed. Taeho looked and found a small communication device hidden there. He picked it up and pressed the button. "Taeho, can you hear me?" It was Yuna's voice. "Yuna." How did you get this here? I have my ways, she said. I heard about the trial. Are you crazy? Those challenges are impossible. I did not have a choice, Taeho said. It was the trial or death. Listen to me, Yuna said. I am going to help you. I found some old records about the trial of worth. There are 3 challenges. The Maze of Shadows, the Beast of Kethra, and the Riddle of the Ancestors. The Ethrani solve them with strength and speed. But you are human. Maybe you can find a different way. Taeho felt a small spark of hope. A different way? You are smart, Taeho. You think differently than they do. Use that. And remember, we are all working to get you out of there. Commander Beak is negotiating with the Queen. I am looking for any way to help. You are not alone. The communication device beeped and went silent. Someone was coming. Taeho hid it under his bed and lay down. Tomorrow he would face the first challenge. Tomorrow he might die. But tonight, he had something he did not have before, hope, and a friend who believed in him. He closed his eyes and tried to sleep. He would need all his strength for what was coming. The morning came too fast. Taeho did not sleep well. His dreams were filled with monsters and dark mazes and the cold violet eyes of Queen Velith. When the guards came to get him, his body felt heavy and tired. They brought him to a large arena. It was a circular space with tall walls. Thousands of Ithrani sat in the seats above, watching and waiting. They had come to see a human die. Taeho could feel their eyes on him like cold fire. Queen Velith sat on a special platform above the arena. She wore a different dress today, made of flowing silver cloth. Beside her stood Morth, looking down at Taeho with a smile that promised pain. People of the Ethrani Empire, the Queen said. Her voice filled the arena without any machines to help it. Today we witness the trial of worth. This human has chosen to prove his value rather than accept execution. Let us see if he's brave or merely foolish. The crowd cheered. It was not a friendly sound. The first challenge, Queen Velith continued, is the Maze of Shadows. A section of the arena floor opened. From below rose a massive structure. It was a maze made of black stone. The walls were twice as tall as Taeho. Strange mist floated around it, moving like a living thing. Even from outside, he could feel something wrong about it. Something dark. The maze creates illusions, Queen Velith explained. It shows your deepest fears. It tricks your eyes and your mind. Many warriors have lost themselves inside. You must find the center and bring back the crystal that waits there. You have 1 hour. Taeho walked toward the entrance of the maze. His legs felt weak, but he forced them to move. He stopped at the opening and looked into the darkness. Remember, he whispered to himself, the Ethrani solved this with strength. I am not strong. I must think differently. He stepped inside. The darkness swallowed him immediately. He could not see the sky anymore. The wall seemed to move and breathe. Whispers came from everywhere and nowhere. Then the illusion started. He saw his mother crying over an empty coffin. He saw his sister alone and sad. He saw Earth burning, destroyed by war. He saw himself, old and forgotten, dying alone on a cold planet. Taeho closed his eyes. Not real, he said. These are not real. He remembered what Yuna told him. The Ethrani fought through the illusions with pure will. They pushed forward even when their minds screamed at them to stop. But there had to be another way. The illusions came from the maze itself. It read his fears and made them visible. But how? There had to be some kind of technology behind it. Some kind of signal. Taeho opened his tool bag. He always carried it with him. Inside was a small device for finding broken signals. He turned it on and watched the screen. There, a strange frequency was filling the maze. It was affecting his brain, making him see things that were not there. He adjusted another tool to create a counter frequency. It was just like fixing a broken communication system. Find the bad signal and block it. The whispers stopped. The darkness became normal darkness. The illusions faded away like smoke. Tae-ho smiled. He could think clearly now. He moved through the maze quickly, using his engineering sense to find the right path. In 20 minutes, he reached the center and grabbed a crystal. When he walked out of the maze, the arena was silent. The Ethrani stared at him with wide eyes. No one had ever solved the maze so quickly. Queen Velith leaned forward in her seat. Her face showed nothing, but her eyes were bright with interest. Morath looked angry. "Luck," she said loudly. "It was just luck. He will not survive the second challenge." The second challenge was the Beast of Kethra. A huge cage rose from the ground. Inside was a creature from nightmares. It was as big as a small house. It had 6 legs, each ending in sharp claws. Its skin was covered in thick armor. Its mouth was full of teeth that looked like swords. Small red eyes burned with hunger. "The beast has killed over 100 warriors," Queen Velith said. "You must defeat it or make it submit to you." The cage opened. The beast walked out slowly, sniffing the air. Then it saw Tae-ho. It roared. The sound was so loud that Tae-ho felt it in his bones. Everyone expected him to run. Everyone expected him to fight. But Tae-ho did neither. He reached into his bag and pulled out a small package. It was his lunch. A simple meal of rice and meat that he had been saving. He opened it and threw the meat toward the beast. The creature stopped. It sniffed the meat carefully. Then it ate it in one bite. Tae-ho threw more food. The beast ate again. Its red eyes were not angry anymore. They were curious. "Good boy," Tae-ho said softly. He walked forward slowly, showing his empty hands. "I am not here to hurt you. Are you hungry? They keep you in that cage all the time, do they not? They only bring you out to fight. That must be lonely." The beast made a low sound. It was not a roar. It was almost like a sad cry. Tae-ho reached out his hand. The arena gasped. He touched the beast's armored head gently. The creature closed its eyes and leaned into his touch. "You are not a monster," Tae-ho said. "You are just an animal. And animals respond to kindness, not violence." The beast lay down at Tae-ho's feet. It had submitted to him. The arena exploded with noise. Some Ethrani were shouting in anger. Some were cheering. Most just looked confused. This had never happened before. The Beast of Kethra had never been tamed. It had only been killed or had killed. Queen Velith stood up. The arena became silent. "The human has passed the second challenge," she said. Her voice was calm, but Tae-ho could see something new in her eyes. "Respect? Maybe. Tomorrow he will face the final test." The riddle of the ancestors. The guards came to take Tae-ho back to his cell. As he walked past the royal platform, he looked up at the queen. For a moment, their eyes met. She did not smile. She did not nod. But something passed between them. An understanding, a recognition. Morath saw it too. Her face twisted with rage. She whispered something to one of her guards. The guard nodded and disappeared into the crowd. That night, Tae-ho talked to Yuna through the hidden device. "You were amazing," Yuna said. "Everyone on the horizon is talking about it. You solved the maze with science. You tamed the beast with food. The Ethrani do not know what to think of you." "One more challenge," Tae-ho said. "The riddle of the ancestors." "What do you know about it?" Yuna was quiet for a moment. "It is different from the others. It is not about strength or cleverness. It is about truth. The riddle looks into your heart and judges who you are. There is no trick for this one, Tae-ho. You just have to be yourself." Tae-ho lay back on his bed. Be himself? He was just a clumsy engineer who accidentally touched a queen's bottom. What could be special about that? But as he fell asleep, He thought about the queen's eyes, the way she looked at him, like she was seeing something no one else could see. That maybe being himself would be enough, or maybe it would get him killed. Tomorrow would decide everything. The final day of the trial arrived. The arena was even more crowded than before. Word had spread across the Ethrani fleet. A human had done the impossible. He had solved the maze of shadows in record time. He had tamed the beast of Kethra without fighting. Now everyone wanted to see if he could complete the last challenge. Tejo stood in the center of the arena. He felt different today. Not confident exactly, but not afraid either. Whatever happened, he had shown these aliens what humans could do. He had proven that his people were more than weak creatures to be ignored. Queen Velith rose from her throne. Today she wore black robes with silver stars. She looked serious, powerful, beautiful. The final challenge, she announced, is the riddle of the ancestors. This is our most sacred test. It does not measure strength or intelligence. It measures the soul. A tall structure rose from the ground. It was made of ancient stone covered in strange symbols. At its center was a glowing orb of blue light. The orb pulsed like a heartbeat. The orb of truth will look into your heart, Queen Velith continued. It will see everything you are, everything you have been, everything you might become. It will ask you a question. Your answer will determine your fate. Tejo walked toward the orb. With each step, he felt a pressure building in his chest. The orb seemed to call to him. It knew he was coming. He placed his hand on the orb. Light exploded around him. He was no longer in the arena. He was floating in a white space that went on forever. In front of him appeared shapes and figures, faces from his past. His mother, his sister, his teachers, his friends, everyone who had ever meant something to him. Then a voice spoke. It came from everywhere at once. It was old and deep and full of power. Human, we see you. I am Park Taiho, he said. I am here to answer your riddle. We know who you are. We have seen your memories, your joys, your sorrows, your failures, your small victories. We have one question for you. Tejo waited. His heart was beating fast. Why should the Ethrani accept your people? Humans are young. Humans are violent. Humans destroy their own worlds. Humans fight each other over small differences. Why should we welcome such chaos into our empire? Tejo closed his eyes. He thought about everything he knew about humanity. All the wars, all the hate, all the terrible things his people had done throughout history. Then he thought about other things. His mother's love, his sister's laughter, the way strangers helped each other after disasters, the way humans built beautiful things even when the world was falling apart. You are right, Tejo said finally. Humans are all those things you said. We are violent. We are young. We make terrible mistakes. We have hurt each other in ways that should never be forgiven. The voice was silent, waiting. But that is not all we are, Tejo continued. Yes, we fight. But we also love with our whole hearts. Yes, we destroy. But we also create beauty that brings tears to our eyes. Yes, we fail. But we always get back up and try again. He opened his eyes and looked into the endless white. I am not a perfect representative of humanity. I am clumsy. I make mistakes. I accidentally touched your queen's bottom, and I cannot take that back. But I can tell you that I am sorry. Not because I fear death, but because I truly did not mean to cause harm. I take full responsibility for my actions, even if they were an accident. The voice spoke again. And what do you offer the Ethrani? What value does humanity bring? We bring something you seem to have forgotten, Tejo said. We bring new ways of thinking. Your people solved the maze with willpower. I solved it with technology. Your people killed the beast with weapons. I tamed it with food and kindness. Humanity does not always choose the obvious path. We find new ways, different ways. And sometimes those new ways are better. The white space began to fade. The voice spoke one last time. We have seen your heart, Park Tae-ho. It is not perfect, but it is honest. It is kind. It is brave in its own way. You have passed the trial of worth. Light surrounded him again. When he could see, he was back in the arena. The orb faded to darkness. The crowd was silent. Queen Velis stared at him. Her violet eyes were wet with something that might have been tears. She raised her hand. The trial is complete, she announced. This human has passed all 3 challenges. By the ancient laws of our empire, his crime is forgiven. Part of the crowd cheered. Another part grumbled in anger. But before anyone could do anything else, a voice rang out across the arena. He cannot be forgiven. Everyone turned. High Priestess Morath stood at the edge of the arena. Her face was twisted with rage. This human insulted our queen. He touched her sacred body. No trial can erase that shame. Queen Velis's eyes narrowed. The laws are clear, Morath. He has proven his worth. The matter is closed. Then the laws are wrong. Morath shouted. I will not stand by while our empire is humiliated by these animals. She raised her hand. Guards loyal to her appeared from the shadows. They surrounded the arena. What is the meaning of this? Queen Velis demanded. Morath smiled. It was a terrible smile. I have been patient, my queen. For years, I have watched you grow soft. You talk of peace with lesser species. You ignore the old ways. Now you forgive a human who touched your body? No, this ends today. She pressed a button on her wrist. On the large screens around the arena, a video began to play. It showed the Horizon's gravity systems. It showed Morath's agents placing a device on the control panel. Wait, Tae-ho said. That video. The gravity problem. You caused it. Morath laughed. Of course I caused it. I needed a reason to destroy the peace talks. When you fell into that room, it was perfect. An accident that looked like an insult. I planned to execute you quickly and start a war with humanity. But you had to survive the trial. You ruined everything. Queen Velis stood up. Her face was cold as ice. You sabotaged the human ship? You created this incident? You made me sentence an innocent man to death? He is not innocent. He is human. They are all guilty just for existing. Morath turned to her guards. Arrest the queen. Arrest all humans on this ship. Today, the Ethrani Empire goes to war. The guards moved forward. Queen Velis' loyal soldiers tried to stop them, but they were outnumbered. Chaos filled the arena. People screamed and ran. Tae-ho felt hands grab him from behind. Morath's soldiers dragged him toward a door. The last thing he saw before the door closed was Queen Velis being pulled from her throne. Her violet eyes filled with fury and fear. The peace talks had failed. War was coming. And somehow, Tae-ho had ended up in the middle of it all. The cell was different this time. It was deeper inside the ship. Darker. Colder. And Tae-ho was not alone. Queen Velis sat on the other side of the room. Her beautiful robes were torn. Her crown of floating crystals was gone. But her eyes still burned with that fierce violet light. Even as a prisoner, she looked like a queen. This is your fault, she said quietly. Tae-ho looked at her. My fault? I did not start this coup. I did not sabotage any ships. I just fell on my face at the wrong time. If you had not touched me, Morath would not have had her excuse. If your gravity systems were not so sensitive, I would not have fallen. If your advisor was not crazy, she would not have planned this. There are a lot of things to blame, Your Majesty. My clumsy hands are just a small part of it." Queen Velith was silent for a moment. Then something strange happened. Her lips curved up slightly. It was almost a smile. "You speak to me like no one else does," she said. "Most people are afraid to say anything that might offend me. But you argue with me. Even now, when we might both die." Teho shrugged. "I am already facing execution twice. What is a third time?" This time she did smile. It changed her whole face. For a moment, she did not look like a cold and powerful queen. She looked like a real person. "Tell me about humanity," she said. "Tell me about your people." Teho thought about it. "We are young, like the orb said. We only discovered space travel a few hundred years ago. Before that, we spent most of our history fighting each other. But we also built amazing things. Art, music, science. We went from riding animals to flying through stars in a very short time. And what drives you? What makes humans push forward even when you face impossible problems?" "Stubbornness," Teho said with a small laugh. "We just refuse to give up. Even when everything tells us we should. We keep trying. We keep hoping. Maybe it is foolish, but it has gotten us this far." Queen Velith nodded slowly. "When you were in the maze, I watched from above. I expected you to struggle like all the others. But you pulled out a small tool and made the illusions disappear. I was surprised. Engineers think differently than warriors," Teho said. "We do not see problems as things to fight. We see them as puzzles to solve. And the beast? How did you know it would not just eat you?" Teho smiled. "I did not know. I just guessed that a creature kept in a cage all its life might want something other than violence. It was a risk. But sometimes the kindest choice is also the smartest one." Queen Velith looked at him with those deep violet eyes. "You are not like any human I expected. You are not like any person I have met before. Is that good or bad?" "I have not decided yet." They sat in silence for a while. The ship hummed around them. Somewhere above, Morith was probably planning her war. Armies were being prepared. Weapons were being loaded. The galaxy was about to burn. "My advisor betrayed me," Queen Velith said finally. Her voice was heavy. "I trusted her for over 50 years. She was like a sister to me. And all this time, she was waiting for her chance to take everything. Why?" Teho asked. "Why does she hate humans so much?" "Morith believes in the old ways. She thinks the Ethrani should rule the galaxy alone. Any other species is just an obstacle. When I started the peace talks with humanity, she saw it as weakness. She thinks war is the only way to stay strong. And what do you think?" Queen Velith was quiet for a long moment. "I think war is easy. Any fool can destroy things. The real strength is in building bridges, in finding common ground, in learning from each other." She looked at Teho. "When you spoke to the Orb of Truth, I heard every word. You talked about humanity's flaws with honesty. But you also talked about hope and love and the will to keep trying. It moved me, more than I expected." Teho felt his face grow warm. "I was just being honest. That is what made it powerful." A sound came from outside the door. Footsteps, many footsteps. Both Teho and Velith tensed, preparing for the worst. The door slid open. But instead of Morath's soldiers, two familiar faces appeared. Kim Yuna stood there with a blaster in her hand. Behind her was Commander Beak Dae-Su. They were both breathing hard, and their clothes were damaged from fighting. "Tao!" Yuna shouted. "We found you." "Yuna! Commander! How did you get here?" Commander Beak stepped forward. "When the coup started, we escaped to the horizon. The ship has been hiding in the shadow of a nearby moon. We have been planning a rescue mission." Yuna ran to Teho and hugged him tightly. You stupid man. You could not just stay out of trouble for one day. You know me, Tejo said. Trouble finds me no matter what. Commander Beak looked at Queen Velith. He bowed respectfully. Your Majesty, we were not sure if you would be here, but we are ready to help you take back your throne. Queen Velith stood up. Even with torn clothes and no crown, she carried herself with dignity. You would help me? After everything that has happened? The human touched your bottom by accident, Una said bluntly. That was not a reason to kill him. And starting a war based on lies is wrong no matter what species you are. If we want real peace, we have to fight for it together. Queen Velith looked at the humans around her. Enemies who had become allies. Strangers who were risking their lives to save her. Her violet eyes softened. Thank you, she said quietly. I will not forget this. Commander Beak pulled out a small device. We have loyal Ethrani working with us. General Keth and his soldiers refuse to follow Morith. They are waiting for a signal to attack. If we can get to the communication center, we can broadcast the truth about what Morith did. Her soldiers might turn against her. The video, Tejo said. The one that showed her sabotaging the horizon. If everyone sees it, they will know she created this whole mess. Exactly, Commander Beak said. But the communication center is heavily guarded. We will have to fight our way there. Tejo picked up a tool from his bag. I can help. If I can access the ship's systems, I might be able to disable some of their security. Queen Velith moved toward the door. Then we move now. Every moment we wait, Morith grows stronger. She will not hesitate to kill anyone who opposes her. The small group stepped out into the hallway. Una went first, checking for enemies. Commander Beak walked beside the Queen. Tejo brought up the rear dot as they moved through the dark corridors of the ship. Tejo felt something he had not felt since this nightmare began. Hope, not just for himself, but for the future. Humans and Ethrani fighting side by side. If they could do this here, maybe they could do it everywhere. Maybe peace was actually possible. But first, they had to survive the next few hours. And with Morith hunting them, survival was far from certain. The Eternal Crown had become a battlefield. Blaster fire echoed through the hallways. Screams and shouts mixed with the sound of running feet. Loyal Ethrani soldiers fought against Morith forces. And caught in the middle were a small group of humans and one dethroned queen. Tejo pressed himself against a wall as another blast flew past his head. This was not what he signed up for. He was an engineer, not a soldier. But here he was, running through an alien warship, trying to save the galaxy from a crazy priestess. Communication center is 2 levels up. Commander Beak shouted, "We need to keep moving." Una fired her blaster at an enemy soldier. The shot hit perfectly, and the soldier went down. These hallways are too open. We need another route. Queen Velith grabbed Tejo's arm. There is a maintenance tunnel nearby. Engineers use it to access the ship's systems. Can you find it? Tejo looked at the walls. His engineer's eyes saw what others could not see. The small panels, the hidden seams, the slight differences in the metal. There, he said, pointing to a section of wall. Behind that panel, he ran to the wall and pulled out his tools. In seconds, he had removed the panel. Behind it was a narrow tunnel leading up into darkness. Everyone inside, Commander Beak ordered. They climbed into the tunnel one by one. The space was tight and cramped. Tejo could barely breathe. But it was better than being shot at. They crawled through the darkness for what felt like forever. Finally, they reached another panel. Tejo pushed it open and looked out. They were right outside the communication center. But the door was guarded by at least 20 soldiers. And standing in front of them was Morith herself. She is here, Una whispered. Of course she is here. She knows this is the only way to stop her. Queen Vella's face hardened. She was always smart. That is what made her dangerous. What do we do? Tejo asked. We cannot fight 20 soldiers. Commander Beak checked his weapon. I can create a distraction. Draw them away from the door. The rest of you go inside and broadcast the video. That is suicide? Yuna said. Maybe, but it is our only chance. Tejo's mind was racing. There had to be another way. He was not a warrior, but he was clever. He solved problems differently. What would work here? Then he saw it. A control panel on the wall near Morth. It was connected to the ship's announcement system. If he could reach it, he could broadcast directly without going into the communication center. Wait, Tejo said. I have an idea, but I need to get to that panel. The one right next to Morth? Yuna said. Are you crazy? Yes, but crazy has been working for me so far. Queen Veleth put her hand on Tejo's shoulder. What do you need us to do? Tejo explained his plan. It was simple. Maybe too simple. But sometimes simple was best. A few minutes later, Yuna stepped out into the open hallway. She held her hands up in surrender. Hey, she shouted. I give up. I want to make a deal. The soldiers turned to look at her. Morth smiled. A human who knows when she is beaten. Bring her to me. While the soldiers focused on Yuna, Tejo crept along the wall toward the control panel. He moved slowly, staying in the shadows. Every step felt like it took a lifetime. Morth was talking to Yuna. Where is the queen? Where are the others? They left me, Yuna said. They ran away. I got lost. Please, I just want to live. Tejo was almost there. Just a few more steps. I do not believe you, Morth said. Her voice was cold. Search the area. Find them. Tejo reached the panel. He pulled out his tools and started working. His fingers moved fast, connecting wires, changing settings. Just a few more seconds. There! A soldier spotted him. By the wall. Morth's head snapped toward Tejo. Her face twisted with rage. The human! Stop him. But it was too late. Tejo pressed the final button. Every screen on the ship lit up. Every speaker came to life. The video of Morth sabotaging the horizon began to play. A voice filled the ship. I plan to execute you quickly and start a war with humanity. Everyone could hear it. Every soldier, every citizen, everyone, Morth screamed. Turn it off. Turn it off. But she could not turn it off. Tejo had locked the system. The video played on every channel. The whole fleet was seeing it. The whole galaxy would soon see it. The soldiers around Morth looked confused. They had followed her because they believed in her. They believed she was protecting the Empire from human insults. Now they knew the truth. She had created the whole thing. She lied to us, one soldier said. She sabotaged the peace talks, another added. She betrayed our queen. One by one, the soldiers lowered their weapons. They stepped away from Morth. She stood alone, surrounded by people who no longer trusted her. Queen Veleth walked out of the shadows. Her torn robes flowed behind her. Even without her crown, she looked more powerful than ever. It is over, Morth, she said. Your soldiers have seen the truth. Your plans have failed. Morth's eyes were wild. No, this is not over. I was right. Humans are dangerous. They will destroy everything we have built. The only one destroying things is you, Queen Veleth said. You killed our relationship with humanity before it could begin. You sentenced an innocent man to death. You started a war based on lies. Morth pulled out a knife. Then I will end this myself. She charged at Queen Veleth. The queen did not move. She did not need to. Commander Beak stepped in front of her. He caught Morth's arm and twisted. The knife fell to the ground. In seconds, Morth was on her knees, her arms held behind her back. "High Priestess Morth," Queen Velith said, "you are under arrest for treason against the Ethrani Empire. You will stand trial for your crimes." Morth laughed bitterly. "You think this changes anything? Humans will still betray you. They always do." Teho walked forward. He stood in front of Morth and looked down at her. "Maybe some humans will," he said, "and maybe some Ethrani will too. But that does not mean we give up on each other. It means we work harder to build trust. It means we choose hope over fear." Morth had no answer for that. The soldiers took her away. Queen Velith turned to face the humans. Commander Beak, Yuna, and Taiho, the clumsy engineer who had started all of this. "You saved my throne," she said. "You saved my people from a war built on lies. The Ethrani Empire owes you a debt we can never fully repay." Commander Beak bowed. "We did what was right, Your Majesty. Nothing more." The Queen's eyes moved to Teho. "And you, Park Teho. You continue to surprise me. You are braver than any warrior I have known." Teho felt his face turn red. "I am just an engineer. I fix things." "Yes," Queen Velith said. "And today you fixed something very important. You fixed the future of two civilizations." Around them, the sounds of battle faded. The coup was over. The ship was secure, but the real work was just beginning. 1 week had passed since the coup. The Ethrani flagship was quiet now. The bodies had been buried. The damage had been repaired. And today was a day for celebration. Te-Ho stood in front of a mirror, trying to fix his tie. It was a special tie, given to him by Commander Beak for the ceremony. It was supposed to look formal and impressive. But no matter how many times Teho tried, it looked like a mess. Yuna walked into his room without knocking. She always did that. "You look terrible," she said. "Thank you," Teho replied. "That is very helpful." Yuna laughed and walked over to him. She fixed his tie with quick, expert hands. "There, now you look only slightly terrible. Why are you so nice to me?" "Because you are my friend, and friends are honest with each other." She stepped back and looked at him. "Are you ready for this?" Teho shook his head. "Not even a little bit." Today was the day of the official peace ceremony. The treaty between humanity and the Ethrani Empire would finally be signed. After everything that had happened, the two species were going to work together. Trade, technology, culture. A new era was beginning. And for some reason, Teho was going to be part of it. "I still do not understand why they want me there," he said. "Commander Beak should be the one getting attention. Or you. You were the one who helped plan the rescue." Yuna smiled. "You started all of this, Teho. Your clumsy butt-touching set everything in motion. And then you passed the trial, exposed Morth, and helped save the Queen. Like it or not, you are a hero now." "I do not feel like a hero. I feel like a man who fell down at the wrong time. Most heroes start that way." Yuna patted his shoulder. "Now come on. The ceremony starts soon. And if you are late, Queen Velith might actually execute you this time." They walked through the hallways of the Eternal Crown. Everything looked different now. The dark, threatening atmosphere was gone. Ethrani and humans walked side by side, talking and laughing. Some were exchanging stories. Others were comparing technology. A few were even trying to teach each other games. It was strange. A week ago, these two species were about to go to war. Now they were acting like old friends. The ceremony hall was packed with people. Human diplomats stood next to Ethrani nobles. Soldiers from both sides shared drinks. In the center of the room was a large table with 2 documents. The peace treaty, ready to be signed. Commander Beak stood near the table, looking calm and confident. He was born for moments like this. Beside him was General Keth, the Ethrani military leader who had remained loyal to the Queen. And on the throne above them all sat Queen Vale. Thought she looked different today. Her robes were white with gold, a symbol of peace in Ethrani culture. Her crown of floating crystals was back on her head. But the biggest change was in her face. She looked happy, not the cold, distant ruler Tai-Ho had first met. This was a woman who had been given a second chance. When Tai-Ho entered the room, she saw him immediately. Her violet eyes tracked him as he moved through the crowd. He felt his face getting hot again. The ceremony began with speeches. Commander Beak talked about the future of cooperation between species. General Keth talked about the strength that comes from unity. Other diplomats spoke about trade and technology and culture. Finally, it was time to sign the treaty. Commander Beak wrote his name on the human document. Queen Veleth wrote her name on the Ethrani document. The room exploded with cheers. The peace was official. History had been made, but the ceremony was not over. Queen Veleth raised her hand, and the room became quiet. Before we continue with the celebration, she said, there is something I must do. Park Tai-Ho, please step forward. Tai-Ho's heart stopped. He looked at Yuna. She was smiling but offered no help. He had no choice. He walked through the crowd until he stood before the Queen. Kneel, she commanded. Tai-Ho knelt. His legs were shaking. What was happening? Was he in trouble again? Had she changed her mind about forgiving him? Queen Veleth stood from her throne and walked down to him. In her hands was a small box. She opened it and pulled out a medal. It was made of silver crystal, shaped like a star. It glowed with soft purple light. This is the Medal of Valor, she said. It is the highest honor in the Ethrani Empire. In 3,000 years, it has never been given to an off-worlder. Until today. The crowd gasped. Ethrani nobles whispered to each other. Even Commander Beak looked surprised. Park Tai-Ho, Queen Veleth continued. You are not a warrior. You are not a diplomat. You are a simple engineer who was in the wrong place at the wrong time. But when you faced impossible challenges, you found new ways to solve them. When you stood before the orb of truth, you spoke with honesty and courage. When my own advisor betrayed me, you risked your life to save my throne. She placed the medal around his neck. It felt warm against his chest. You have shown my people that humans are worthy of respect. Not because you are strong or powerful, but because you are clever, kind, and brave in ways we never expected. For this, I thank you. The entire Ethrani Empire thanks you. The crowd cheered. Ethrani and humans alike were clapping and shouting. Tai-Ho felt tears building in his eyes. He had never expected anything like this. He just wanted to fix his wire and go back to his room. Now he was standing before an alien queen, wearing a medal that no human had ever worn. You may rise, Queen Veleth said. Tai-Ho stood. He was face to face with the queen now. Up close, she was even more beautiful. Her violet eyes were soft with something he could not quite name. I have one more announcement, she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. The peace treaty includes many new programs: trade, technology exchange, cultural cooperation. These programs will need leaders who understand both species, people who can build bridges between our worlds. She looked at Tai-Ho. Park Tai-Ho, I would like to offer you the position of Human Ethrani Cultural Liaison. You will work directly with my court to help our peoples understand each other. Do you accept? Tai-Ho's mouth fell open. Your Majesty, I am just an engineer. You are much more than that, Queen Veleth said. You have proven it many times. Will you accept? Tai-Ho looked at Yuna in the crowd. She was grinning and giving him 2 thumbs up. He looked at Commander Beak, who nodded with approval. "Yes," Tejo said. "I accept." The crowd cheered again. The ceremony continued with music and food and dancing. Humans and Ethrani celebrated together, the beginning of a new friendship. Later that night, when the celebration was winding down, Queen Velith found Tejo standing alone on a balcony. He was looking at the stars, still wearing his medal. "Are you hiding from your own party?" she asked. Te-Ho turned and bowed quickly. "Your Majesty, I was just thinking. Please, when we are alone, you may call me Velith." She stood beside him and looked at the stars too. "What are you thinking about?" "Everything," Tejo admitted. "1 week ago, I was about to be executed. Now I have a medal and a new job. It is hard to believe." "Life changes quickly," Velith said. "1 moment can change everything." "Like accidentally touching a queen's bottom?" Velith laughed. It was a real laugh, warm and genuine. "Yes, like that." They stood in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Velith turned to face him. Her violet eyes were bright in the starlight. "I want you to know something," she said softly. "When you first touched me, I was angry. Truly angry. But as I watched you face the trial, as I heard your words to the orb of truth, something changed. You showed me that humans are not the weak creatures I believed them to be. You changed my mind, Park, Tejo. You changed me." Tejo did not know what to say. His heart was beating fast. Velith leaned closer. Her voice was barely a whisper. "If you ever touch my ass again, human, at least ask permission first." Tejo's face turned bright red. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. From somewhere behind them, Yuna's voice rang out. "Did I just hear what I think I heard?" Velith smiled and walked back toward the party. She looked over her shoulder at Tejo. "I look forward to working with you, Liaison Park." Tejo stood alone on the balcony, his face still burning. He had come to fix a wire. He had accidentally touched an alien queen. He had survived death, defeated a traitor, and helped bring 2 species together. And now, standing under the stars of a new galaxy, he realized that his adventure was just beginning. The clumsy engineer and the alien queen. It was the start of a beautiful friendship, or maybe something more. Only time would tell.